Capitalism did not begin with the Industrial Revolution. In America, capitalism began with modernity. So, if modernity was actually a Frankish idea, this would prove that England has been stealing resources for the imperial mass called communism. So if communism is a State Department funding the executive decisions of what we call feudalism today, feudalism would be escargot. Escargot is the beginning of capitalism. Because escargot happens when we kill an Indian has to be replaced with his fruit rather than his labor. And if you pick the fruit, not only does the escargot fund the labor is a motion to appeal to the better nature of a pool of capital. So capital would be a displacement of this escargot rather than a funding of capitalism. This is when the shell or conch of a society is misspoken for the ability for consecutives. And consecutives are measurable to not the metric system, but the Vanguard system. So under Vanguard unitary values, not only does the V of a V-text solution have multiple algebraics in them, these algebraics would have a cosine that reaches infinity. And if that cosine is relatable back to a number, these numbers are variable to tangents of double constellation. So these constellations do not reach into infinity, they are actually part of infinity. So since these infinite constellations are still signified as capitalist, not only do they have motion to them, they have integration, which means they can calculate one another on a frame by frame rate. So there is no assigned value in capitalism except for the market, and markets are the value of integrals. So an integral would be the only feature of a market, while the integration of the market would be the ability to cosine to a loan. So these loans are how the Constitution were set up. Not only does the escargot reach back in previous societies, the ability to form a isolation of a telepathy would be the meaning of the party in that system. So if the party is a y-axis value, not only does the integration of the number assign multiple variables if it's on both sides of the y value integrates to cosine. So if cosine is also in meaning of the ability to both parties, which is the x and the y, not only does this circulate the meaning of denomination, denomination is a asset for fixing the membership. So membership of a party would actually be part of the escargot shell. And this shell of the escargot is what allows for the Constitution to take place as if it is an edible. Because to have the first consumer-based constitution is capitalism, this is why the Confederate Papers are the first form of capitalism. Because you have to consume the Confederate Papers to get to the Constitution, which means you have to go through a failure to recognize capitalism. And not only does capitalism not get recognized, under the Confederate Papers, the state is no longer the slave, but the shareholder of the integration. So if the integration of slavery happens, that is the only time capitalism exists, which is to stop the number value of Y from reaching both sides of the denomination, which would be to remove the shell. And that is called socialism.